Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest. We're not disputing that, Cash. It's how does Sonny Liston feel about it? He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp.
When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
Yo, 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 what up, what up, what up, what up? Happy Monday. Happy Monday.
Dom DeMarco.
We back. Glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Good to be here. Good to see you. Hope you're in good spirits. I hope your weekend has been blessed, fulfilled. I hope you weren't too overwhelmed, and if you did have a lot on you, I hope and pray that you found a way to get it out of your system, off of your spirit. It's not worth it. If it's not productive, if it's not bringing you any type of spiritual clarity, any joy, any peace, do not walk around with that. Do not let it linger. Shout outs to my poets, my writers, my content creators, so on and so forth. You know I got to give my flowers out. I'm going to bring the people up. I got Rob in the building. I got Sydney in the building. Do me a solid. Like, share, let the people know we on. Make sure you go show them some love. This is about to be a very, very long week. We already kicked it off. Well, at least I know for me, I started off with a bang. I had some stuff going on earlier in the day, but we here nonetheless. Let me go ahead and bring Rob up real quick. I got a clip I'm gonna play, which is what led me to this topic. But Rob, what's going on?
Yo, what's happening?
What's the word, bro?
Man, another day, another penny.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How was your weekend, man?
Good, man. Real good. Got some things done this weekend. It was nice.
It's always good to get some stuff accomplished.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate being stagnant.
I see you. Jersey getting crazy. This 2 weeks in a row, man.
I'm working on it. Man. Gotta show up. Gotta show up on these drinks.
Orlando to Minnesota. Kind of crazy.
Look, I had a coworker. He was confused because he was like, "Man, you I thought you was a 49ers fan. I am. Well, why are you wearing Redskin Commander stuff? I'm like, I just like wearing different things. I don't. It's not particularly that I'm like. I just like to wear different things. It has nothing to do with me picking. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That's flavors though. You're killing them right now.
Much love. Much love.
Sydney.
What's up? What's up?
What's
How
up?
you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
My husband's first day back at work after 25 days off. So he's not feeling it, but he's like, I should have taken another week off.
I know. I'm with him.
Hey, it feels weird. You be home so long, you get comfortable, you get used to having a certain routine, and then you got to get right back into this habit of.
He says the best type of vacation, or the only good vacation, is one that allows you to forget that you have to work.
You know your coworker's gonna treat you like you've never been there.
Mm-hmm. Right. They make fun of you, like, where'd you go? What'd you do? Trying to run away?
You catch up for all them days. Now you working like a runaway slave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At least I know I ain't the only one that suffered that. They be waiting for you to come back too.
Waiting.
To be at to do your work. Oh yeah.
Them the ones looking at your Facebook and your Instagram that don't hit the heart. Like, oh, you mean to tell me you was living good? You was living good. You had 25 days.
And bosses always save stuff for you too. Like, you get back and they're like, "Oh yeah, so I have this task that I've been waiting 3 weeks just to keep you, even though there's other people that work here. I waited specifically for you to do it."
Right. Exactly.
Hey, look. I got a video I want to play. Shout out to this woman, man. 73 years old, bro. 73, and she looked like she got that 25, 30-year-old thing going on with her, man. And it brought me to the topic itself. I'm gonna play the clip, and then I'm gonna come back with the question at hand. Let me bring this up on the screen real quick.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Hold up.
She looks better than some 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
Her stomach flatter than mine.
Right?
And mine.
Go ahead.
All right. Let me go ahead and run this real quick. I'm trying to, let me see something.
72 years old. How many of y'all can do an 8-minute plank or 100 goddamn push-ups? When I turned 72 years old, I did 100 push-ups in my restaurant, in front of my customers. The fact that I don't even have a primary care physician, I'm showing people my age how the human body will continue to respond if you practice self-love and self-care.
It's crazy that you're 72. Like you look like, I don't know, 36 or something. And you're totally jacked. You got like veins coming out of your arm. You can do push-ups all day.
I had eczema, asthma. I was a wipeout. Couldn't digest my food because I just ate the standard American diet and it was killing me. And it was all diet related. It was all diet related. Unbelievable. If I want to get down right now and do an 8-minute plank, I can do that plank right now. I entered into with healthy eating. I could eat and I wasn't making the loudest bell. I was at 72 years old.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's craziest to me is my mom is the same exact age. And my mom looks really good for her age because she also eats extremely healthy. And she does martial arts. That's my mom.
Hey.
But yeah, that's still insane that she looks that good, and she's that like she's more exercise proficient than I am.
Which actually brought me to tonight's topic. If we're being honest with each other, people get offended if you call them unhealthy, or if you criticize somebody for their body shape or whatever. And there's a difference between someone antagonizing you and trying to actually body shame you versus someone who is saying, look, I care about you. I don't want you to die to diabetes or heart disease, nothing like that. You might want to get this under control. And between that and all the back and forth with, oh, you're a short king, we don't do short kings. Well, you're a chubby, so we still deal with you. So what's the issue with you dealing with someone that is not 6'7"? So here's my question. Why is it such a problem addressing being unhealthy?
It's hard work. People don't want to work, man. People don't want to work, man. Listen, change is a constant, never-ending feud with yourself to push yourself to be better than you were. And you can talk about it all day, but unless you do the work that it takes to get to where you want to be, it's never gonna happen. And a lot of times you would think you're talking yourself into something where you want to be, but at the end of the day, you're actually getting the opposite results because your work ethic is not changing, or your strategy is not changing. You know what I'm saying? You gotta change whole things that it look easy to the normal person or whatever, but if you're not wired that way, you'll just be talking to yourself. Well, I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, what you doing to lose it? You're not gonna lose it sitting there, da 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 da. You're not gonna lose it. You can take all the dope, all the drugs, the Ozempic, and guess what? The minute you stop taking the Ozempic, you out of there. It's only one drug I know that'll keep you paper thin, and whatever you got to go through that. You know what I'm saying? So with that, it's like, yo, people talking about it, but if they ain't putting no action behind it, if you're not putting no action, it's not happening.
I agree. Another thing that I think is an issue too is the way that we kind of say it's okay to be yourself, but you're not really defining what being yourself actually is. You're just kind of being vague. I hate vague people. Be specific, be detailed. Actually, imagine a commercial that was promoting Ozempic, and it was really it wasn't vague. It was just specific about what it does to you. Do you think people will still take it?
Yes.
You think, oh, for real?
It's literally like a designer drug at this point. Like, celebrities take it for less. Like, they literally make it part of their daily routine. They're like, oh, I'm going to go get my Botox, and then later I'm going to take my Ozempic, and then afterwards I'm going to get my little nip tuck. It's like, when you're that wealthy, you can, there's a reason why Ozempic face is trending with all of the celebrities, because you can literally tell who's been the ones taking it because their face like sinks. Like, it has all of these impacts, but people are so desperate to look pretty in their minds that they are putting all this stuff into their body and like filling it up with things and injecting it with chemicals and all sorts of stuff. Not my cup of tea.
Yo, we was in Bahamas one time, and we had this cabbie, and he was taking us to the airport, and he said that he didn't smoke, he didn't drink, he didn't eat the conch, he didn't eat the red snapper fried, like the national tradition, and he was feeling sick, and he had the doctors didn't diagnose him. Hey, hello. The doctors didn't diagnose him properly in the Bahamas. He had to fly to America and found out that he had all types of cancer. And the moral of his story was, at the end of the day, enjoy your life. You know, he said, I could run a mile. I could run this. I didn't eat this. I didn't eat the conch. You know, we all over there eating conch and lobster and this and that, all the stuff that they're supposed to be killing you. He said, I ain't do none of that. And I'm sick right now. And the only reason, you know, I'm still alive because I had to go to America to get diagnosed. So even thinking with the lady who was blessed, we have to think about genetics. We have to think about archetype, because guess what? You could, you know, depending on your genetics, you could eat right all your life. You don't have to do nothing, and you would still be gone. And then we're not adding the stresses too that come with living in this society. So with that, you know, there got to be a balance. But we know that anytime that you want change, you have to make the change. And it's hard for people because, again, you could think about it all day. A lot of times people think their way into paralysis. You think about what you want to do so much that you be exhausted, you can't get it done. So with that, with the change, you know, something as simple as losing 10 pounds is trivial because at the end of the day, you still have the same habits. And you know, a lot of times too, for us, if you work out more, what you gonna do? You're gonna eat more.
Also, just to add to what you said, a lot of people will use like dangerous forms of dieting to try and achieve the body type that they want. And like yo-yo dieting and extremely restrictive diets and all those things, they never work because your body can't adapt to something like that. If you're pulling back on certain nutrients that your body needs, your body's going to start giving you cravings and make you want to eat to compensate for all of those nutrients that you're not getting. And so that's why it's yo-yo dieting, or that's why dieting tends to result in a bounce back. And sometimes you can end up even heavier or sicker than you were before, because your body is trying to adjust and it can't, because you're constantly changing what you're giving it and how much it's getting. And I think a lot of people don't realize just how much damage they're doing with dieting and with all of the other things that they're putting into their body. Like caffeine is going to affect you, alcohol is going to affect you, cigarettes going to affect you, medications are going to affect you. Everything affects your metabolism, and it affects how you retain weight and lose weight. And you kind of have to factor all of those in, because if you're neglecting certain aspects of your health regimen, you could end up doing more damage to yourself. For example, if you do restrictive dieting and you're also taking like painkillers frequently, you're more likely to get kidney damage or liver damage. If you drink a lot of caffeine and not a lot of food, you're more likely to have heart palpitations. And if you're older, you're at a higher risk of having heart attacks. So there's a lot of considerations that people really need to put into taking care of their body and understanding how everything really interplays: your sleep, your how you eat, your exercise, and everything. And everyone should be finding what's best for them, for their body, for their lifestyle, for what they need, because everybody's different. And some bodies can't handle certain foods and some bodies need more things than others. But everybody does have a general need for like what they actually need to sustain itself. So I think people just have to find that equilibrium and find what works for them, because that is the most sustainable thing. It allows you to be your best self, really.
One thing I want to add real quick, because what I think what I'm hearing, and I could be wrong, I think what I'm hearing is people want to do it. They're either being lazy and trying to take shortcuts, and that's not working, or they just don't have the amount of discipline and
Or they're misguided and have the wrong info.
That too. I have something that I want to add on, but it's kind of going in a different direction. I want to give Carol the opportunity to speak. Carol, I appreciate you for pulling up. How you doing?
I'm great, and I actually want to add on, so I think it's going to work out, but thank you. I am 63, so I think we're in my wheelhouse now. But I'm 63, and I compete as a senior and masters track and field athlete. But I'm going to go backwards a little bit so we can talk about, like, we can cover sort of the areas we're talking about. And I think we're all agreeing that it is a decision that has to be made. But we may have a decision, but we don't have the commitment. Like, it sounds like a good idea, but we don't necessarily want to do it. Like it, or it's really something that has to be holistic. It has to be mentally, physically, environmentally, all of these things you have to create. You have to be very intentional about your health. I am a healthcare advocate as well as a healthcare professional, as well as a senior athlete. I lean toward people of color based on, or Black people, I'm just going to say it, and people of color and women, because we tend to be underrepresented in healthcare. But going backwards, what I would say is I have a chronic illness. I have rheumatoid arthritis. And before it was diagnosed, I was a college athlete. I was very athletic and very in tune with what my body would do. But when I got sick, I had no idea what was going on. And it took me, I gained 75 pounds in 6 months on steroids, because that's what they gave me, because they were just treating symptoms. And it didn't help. It didn't come down to, it came down to the point where I was talking to my mother. And at that time, I think I was 49. And I was talking to my mother, and I'd been to one more appointment. And what I was told was, this is what RA does. It affects everything. So at that point, I had inflammation around my heart. I had inflammation in my lungs. I couldn't walk more than 5 feet. And I was talking to my mom, and I said, well, I guess I'm not going to make it to 50. And as soon as those words came out of my mouth, a decision had to be made. And in that moment, I told my mother, I'll call you back. I got to go. And I called my insurance and asked for someone else. And I asked for somebody who was going to work with me with my healthcare as a partner, that was going to meet me where I was, understand who I am, and take me to the level I expect to go to. And that's a team effort. But it also happened in my household. So it had to be, at that time, my sons were still, I had 2 younger sons that were still home, but I was also in a relationship. And it took commitment from me and staying strong through the pain, through all of the stuff that it was going to take to get me to a place where I wasn't going to hear, this is what RA does, because I was at that place where one more thing happened, it could have been the end of me. That's where I was. And I had to make a choice on, is this an acceptable answer, or is there something I can do? And I made the decision that I wasn't just going to basically go out like that, always having, of course, being who I was. But it is diet, it is mental, it is intentional, like journaling, understanding. Like for me, my mealtime is scheduled. Like it's scheduled what I'm going to eat, how much protein, how much carbs, how much sugar, whatever the case may be at the time. So if it's a day that I'm going to be training, then my diet's going to, it's going to replicate what that's going to take. If it's a day that I'm not going to be training, but it's just a regular day, then I'm going to alter my diet accordingly. But doing extreme things like Sydney talks about, being yo-yo and things like that, also being on medication for health, all of those things have to come into play. So you have to look at the big picture. So as we get older, I mean, if you hear Sinbad, he's kind of right, but as we get older, we don't heal as fast. Our goal is to constantly stay healthy, if that's the goal. but you also have to look at preventative measures as well as maintenance measures, and goals. And so for me, I just came back from the Senior Olympics, I guess, I think it was 2 weeks ago. And even the amount of rest that I got with travel can have an effect. So as we get older, even if we're not older, we have to start monitoring what works for us. We have to start looking at the ebbs and flows. I know for me, I am a morning person. When I get up, my energy is at its highest level in the morning. But to maintain that, I have to determine what I'm going to eat for lunch. If I'm going to have a long day, what is my meal going to give me? If I'm tired, then I have to recognize that I have to find a way to get some rest. Whether we're 35 or 65, all of those things have to come into play. And it is a mindset. Once you make up your mind that I do some talks about health. But one of the things that I say is you have to decide if you want to live. And then you have to decide how you want to live, because quality of life is important. When we're working with our providers or our healthcare professionals, the goal of that professional should be, if you are their patient, is to maintain, to improve, maintain, or increase your quality of life. And that doesn't work if they don't know who you are. And that doesn't work if you don't know what you want out of it. So if you want to live at your highest level or be at the best place you can be at 33 or 63, you have to figure out how that works for you. And then if you have a medical team and you need them, you need to make sure they're on the same page, because if they are not, you need a new team. You have
to tell them about that jerk doctor that you had.
Oh my God. Okay. So that's where I came to that conclusion. So to go back a little bit further, when I was talking to my mom, I had just left a doctor, and I'm a faithful woman, but it was at a teaching hospital that was a religious teaching hospital. And I came in the first visit, it was him and someone else. And she was very much on top of listening to me. I was a new patient to them, taking all the notes. He was kind of standing back and very judgmental. So we did all the labs, did all the tests. And then she actually went on somewhere else because she had finished her fellowship. And I came back for a follow-up with him, and he dismissed pretty much everything. And he was looking at me in a way, and I know the look. I said, so I had to tell him, I can tell that you don't care what happens to me. You think I'm just some fat, black, lazy woman. I know that's what you think. I said, I'm looking at you. I see how you're looking at me. I've been in healthcare for 30 years. I know what this looks like. And so I told him, I said, I'm not going to let you kill me. And I do that now. If I get a new physician, we have a long talk, and I talk about what my expectations are, because I have a chronic illness. So we talk about my expectations, and I let them know I lost a sister because she wasn't listened to. So she died of cancer because her doctor did not listen to her for a full year. And so then I had another sister who just recently had to have an emergency pacemaker because she was being ignored. Now she's in Oklahoma, and they're 49th in health, so that's not a surprise. However, it takes the person who wants to be at their best level, they have to own that. You have to take responsibility for that. You have to want it. And so I tell people, I'm not sitting around waiting to die. I'm fighting to live. So I'm not going to, I exercise. I compete in sports because that forces me to exercise. I manage what I eat. A lot of, because some foods are very inflammatory and they can affect what happens to my body. So paying attention to all of those things, getting people around you that support you in that, and fighting for that no matter what, that's what matters at the end of the day. And it is okay to fire your practitioner. If you have somebody that you feel does not listen to you or doesn't want to listen to you, or there's a term in medicine called anchoring. And that's what this person did. So what happens is the provider looks at several key things, and they decide what it is that you have. When it could be 15 other things, but they decide what you have is this thing. And so the only direction they're going to go is the place where they've anchored. So in this particular person's, I was some overweight black woman that doesn't eat healthy foods. That's the way he saw it. So he dismissed everything else. So we have to be very open. We have to be honest with ourselves. We have to fight for that. And we have to surround ourselves with people that are going to do it alongside of us, because it's not easy. Staying healthy is, especially as we get older, because we have habits, our body does different things. And if we don't fight for that, we lose that battle. And so that would be my 2 cents on that. And not to plug myself, but since we're on it, there will be something later where I did a special. Sydney's actually in it, where I did a special for a television thing, and it'll come out. I think they're going to air it in September, and it's talking about older athletes and what we do. So, but Sydney can cue you in on that later. It's supposed to, they're doing the final touches now. And from my understanding, we're going to air in September on national television. So we will see. So. Yeah.
Just to emphasize a point that you made, I think that's a huge, huge component that people neglect to think about is commitment. The choice to actually commit, because I've seen it so often, especially with like quitting alcohol, quitting cigarettes, whatever, where they're like, yeah, I want to quit. Like they talk so much about, I want to quit and I'm trying to quit and it's just so hard. And they like, oh, just this once. I'll just give in just this once. And I think that's something that a lot of people deal with is they allow themselves to ride that slippery slope very frequently. They don't actually make a commitment to being healthy. They just think they are in their mind. They've convinced themselves that they are doing what they're supposed to, even though they're lying to themselves and they aren't actually doing those things that they do. It's a huge problem in psychology. I forgot what the phenomenon is called, but the idea that you will lie to yourself to keep yourself comfortable and avoid uncomfortable situations. And unfortunately, because breaking habits are deeply uncomfortable, a lot of people lie to themselves instead of actually confronting their habits for what they are and learning to cope with the emotions that trigger the addiction. A lot of people try to deal with the addiction, but what you have to do is you have to deal with what's causing you to seek out the addiction first. You have whatever is making you want to disassociate from life or muddle your mind. Those are the things that you have to target first, not the cravings. And that kind of goes for anything. Food in particular, people underestimate how addicting certain foods can be, particularly sugary foods. And these sugary foods, it's been shown time and time again that these are the foods that cause heart disease and diabetes and hypertension and even some neurological conditions and neurodegenerative, autoimmune problems, a whole bunch of things. Sugar is just one of a couple different things people consume to excess.
What I wanted to bring up, because you pretty much covered a specific side, and I agree. I think we all agree. What we don't acknowledge is the part where there's a certain group of folks that they use commercials and they use certain platforms to say it's okay if you're over your BMI. It's okay if you overly consume this. We're not here to judge you. And if anybody judges you, then they no longer deserve to be on anything. Cut them off. Disassociate yourself with them. Blackball them. Shadow ban them. They're attacking you. Anybody who says anything to you, friend, family member, anybody who says to you that you're unhealthy, you need to lose weight, they're attacking your individuality. They're not allowing you to be yourself. They hate you. They have some type of motive against you because we tell you that it's okay to be who you are. We tell you that you can eat all of these high cholesterol produced foods that got sprayed down through crop dusting and et cetera, et cetera. We told you it's okay to put this in your body. Eat to your heart's content. And if anyone says anything otherwise, they are not your friend. They do not like you. They are your enemy. And I think that is another conversation that I wanted to address too, because I know every single day I shouldn't be eating certain stuff, but I still do it. So I can't really blame nobody for my own issues at all. Like Carol was like, she called me out as she was acknowledging the fact that she needed to do what she needed to do for her because she wanted to live. How many people honestly want to live?
If it makes you feel any better, my neighbor was doing a free food giveaway, and I may have taken 2 full cakes from them.
Let me go ahead, Rob. I was going to ask you.
Go ahead.
You know, I was just going to ask you. Do you see where I'm going? Like I know what y'all speaking about, and that is true. Do you? Matter of fact, better question. Can we blame social media for our lack of care for ourselves? Does that have any impact on our decision making at all?
Not entirely, but it is a component.
Yeah, I think it goes back to owning, like taking personal responsibility. I mean, we can see a lot of things, but it comes back to taking that personal responsibility. And your point about shaming, body shaming and things like that, I think what happens is there are 2 extremes and people forget how to view those things. So there is 1, enabling, and there is 2, giving grace. So if you're a good friend with someone and you know what they're doing is hurting them, like not because of what their body looks like, but their body is a result of what they're doing. So as a friend, there's a conversation. If you have that kind of friendship, you can encourage and help without judging, like without it being judgy. Now, if you say something like, hey, I noticed that you're having trouble walking or you're having difficulty getting upstairs. Have you noticed that? Of course they have, whatever the case may be. What do you think we can do? I would like to help you be able to do this better. There's certain ways. If a person shuts that down and starts saying that you're judging them, then that would be very much like me saying, I'm allergic to shellfish and going to a seafood restaurant and someone bringing me shellfish and I say, I can't eat that, it'll kill me. And then someone say, you hate shellfish. So it's not the same thing. It's different. It's like what you're doing is you're pointing out the reality while giving grace. You're not calling this person fat. You're not calling them lazy. And how they take it is how they're going to take it. And that's the way life is in general. Keywords, key times can still be misconstrued as judgment because some people don't want to take responsibility for their actions. And so we're often quick to say, you're judging me. When if you listen to the word, it depends on where it's coming from, because sometimes it is judgment. But other times, if it's a friend, even the Bible talks about a friend can harm, but in love. So if it's a friend and you're talking to this friend about, hey, I noticed you're struggling with this. Are you okay? Whatever the case may be, if you are in a friendship that's to that level, because you have to know the level of intimacy your friendship consists of. So that's one thing. Sometimes we think we have friends and we find out they're not as much of a friend as we thought. So we have to kind of judge that as well. You have to read the room in that case. So if you know this is a person that you care about and you see that this is a struggle, they need to have a place where they can have a soft landing. They need to be able to say, yeah, I don't like where I am, but I don't know what to do about it. But if I just say you're fat and you can't get up the stairs, I'm not a safe place. But if I say that and they feel like I'm judging, then there is no safe place for them. They don't want to admit it. Their safe place is staying in wherever they are, staying in their dysfunction. And you can't change that. So all you can do is you can provide grace, provide guidance, and step back. We can't control the outcome. But if someone is attacking you because you're pointing out the obvious, then each person is responsible for their reaction to that. So I know for me, it was a lesson for me because I was one of those people. It was a lesson for me when I got sick and my weight blew up that quickly. It made me have to look at, hey, you don't know what someone's going through, because anyone who knew me could never imagine me that big, because it was just impossible for that to happen for me, which clearly it wasn't. So it made me start to think about where's the root. Like Sydney said, where's the root? What's happening with this person? If you know someone well enough and you know they have a health challenge, there's a place there where you maybe can assist. But if you know someone who keeps telling you, I mean, my guilty pleasure is my 600-pound life. That is my guilty pleasure. I don't know why. It's terrible. But you see these people and they want to get the weight loss surgery, and the doctor is telling them what they should do. And there's cameras in their house, in their car, and you see them at the drive-thru ordering 15 bags of something and eating it in the car. And then they go to see the doctor and say they've been sticking to the diet. And then when the doctor says you're not, they feel attacked. And so it's like, if you really are committed to something, even if you have a fall, you're going to keep going. You're going to get up and keep going. So that's where grace comes into place. If the person is committed, even if they fall, they get back up and they keep going. They don't blame every other thing or just quit. Because one thing we have to understand in any part of our health, any part of our lives where we're focusing on something or we're looking to get better at something, is that it doesn't mean it's not going to be hard, but it doesn't mean it's also impossible either. So we have to constantly look at possible and not necessarily hard. Hard's going to be there, but it's possible if you can get through the hard without quitting.
Rob,
to your question, social media, no, it's a case-by-case analysis, and social media and media definitely have a whole big deal to do with it. But I think it's more cultural, to where if you grew up in a house like that, where, you know, they're eating and not, you know what I mean, or having bad habits, you got two types of kids, to where they think, when you got the one kid that think it's normal, and then you got the other kid that say, I'm not gonna be like that. You know what I'm saying? But you look at it right now, like, so in the school, we found out that the milk been killing us because we're not cattle, right? They still force the kids to take the milk. We found out the cheese is killing us, the dairy is killing us. We found out the bacon is killing us.
Bread.
Yeah, the white bread, the bacon. I watched the documentary, whatever, Michael Moore, I think, one of them, and everything that's a staple, the cereal, the butter, the cheese, has been killing us for years, right? But that's the whole thing. And I remember I used to pack bags as a kid, 4 or 5, Pathmark in New York, 4 or 5 years old, and bring home bacon, milk, cheese, and white bread. And now I'm sitting here 40 years later, like, dog, I was killing us. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, you know, not just social media, it was going on like that before, but I think that a lot of your lifestyle was often influenced from your upbringing. And then I'm thinking about now too, how expensive it is to even be healthy, to work out, to get a gym membership, it costs. To go to a store where they have fresh fruits and vegetables, especially from the hood, it's like a food desert, to where they trying to do this. I even think about the second harvest, which is a good output, but a lot of times they're giving you stuff from the stores that didn't sell. You know what I'm saying? So you're opening stuff that was 2 and 3 and 4 years old. You're giving, they said that the peanut butter, the way they put it in the jar, is unhealthy, and we still promote eating peanut butter. We still promote eating cereal. We found out that whatever they putting in the cereal now is killing us. And then think about how many days you ate the cereal reading the box. And you sitting there reading the box, and then, you know, you're gonna eat 2, 3. I remember eating my Apple Jacks till the milk turned pink. You know what I'm saying?
Cereal is basically candy.
Exactly. So I remember I wouldn't stop the Rice Krispies. I wouldn't stop till the milk turned brown and get good and sweet. And now not only am I eating something bad, I overate. I was pre-diabetic. My doctor, one time I was 240 pounds. And I was just sitting here like, dog, I made it out the hood to do all of this, to be eating. And I had to lose 60 pounds. And I gained like 40 back, to where 3 months ago, my doctor was like, yo, you pre-diabetic again. What you gonna do? and I'm just sitting here and I'm looking at my diet for weeks. French fries, white rice, white bread, steak, you know what I'm saying? And it really came from a mentality where we was hungry. We used to be hungry. So I'm gonna eat what I want. I don't care. Like I really don't even care. If that steak costs $30, $40, $50, I'm gonna eat that steak. I don't care. My doctor would do it to where I got to a point where it's like, yo, do you really want to go through that? And I had to like fall back. So, you know, with now the social media, the everything, it's just the social media is just an added plug, right? Because we've been had the Shoney's buffet, we've been had the Golden Corral buffet. You could go right here in America to the Chinese buffet in any hood right now and eat all you want, and you know that's the most greasiest, unhealthy thing. You know what I'm saying? We know McDonald's, we know the fast food is bad. I was looking at the Popeyes. My dog was telling me they use gloves to cook the Popeyes fried chicken so that the spice don't burn their skin. So that's when I had to look like, okay, if they got gloves on to cook the chicken, and I know somebody else, he was like, yeah, my wife used gloves to cook her fried chicken too. That's cool, but if you got to put gloves on to keep your hands from getting burnt, what are we eating? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so like I said, social media is just a little added little whoop-de-whoop, but the programming, just like they push the cigarettes. I was just looking, I looked at, and I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna yield the mic. The foods that built America, Starbucks made the Frappuccino to attract children. Yep, they did that because they knew that the kids would love the way they get the caffeine in the Frappuccino because it tastes so good that they would be. Now you got these kids growing up on your stuff. Now you got people addicted to caffeine. So it's just like the cigarettes and everything else. They could know it's bad for you. They're gonna push it anyway. And then now they push this stuff on the children. So a lot of it goes from being unhealthy, having an unhealthy lifestyle in your home, to the outside influences, to how expensive it is, and then also the stress, right? Because when you get stressed out, what you want to do? You want to eat. My big brother tell me all the time, he's like, yo, bro, you work so hard, bro, all you could do is eat. That's the only way you can really enjoy life is to eat what you want. That's it, man. I don't care. You could take a trip here, you could go there. All you got is to eat what you want. And at the same time, I'm like, yo, you know, you're wrong, but at the same time, you're right, because this is all I can control and I don't work hard. So what's to say I want to enjoy something? You mean to tell me I can't even eat no more? Like, that could be a problem.
I wanted to touch on a couple things. One, in regards to social media, I don't think that it has changed how we look at eating and dieting and being healthy, because there has always been this type of behavior, even in the 50s, even in the 1890s, even in the 1700s. There's always been, like, women had to look a certain way. They had to, like, that's why they had corsets, because they wanted to make sure that they had a perfect waistline and then big hips, and you had to look a certain color. Like, they wanted women to be pale and meek looking and whatever. Like, there's always been a sense of expectation for how people look and a sense of pressure for how you should be looking. And we've always had weird ways to deal with it. Like, people have taken arsenic pills and tapeworms and like all sorts of crazy stuff just to make their body image as beautiful as possible. Like, even the Egyptians did it back like 3,000 years ago. But what has changed is social media makes it inescapable. You can't go home and not be around it. You can't avoid people that say that. Like, if you have social media and you are as active as most people are with social media, and you have body image issues, you're posting images of yourself, chances are you're going to be exposed to people that are commenting on how you look, going to be insulting you because of the way that you look, that are going to be judging you because of what you're eating, because how you're exercising or whatever. Like, people are always going to have things to say. And I think that's what part of what's happening is people, especially teenagers, like the youngest kids, those are the most susceptible to stuff like this, where they're being exposed to it all the time. And so I think it makes it a bigger part of their life, like more noticeable. They can't really get away from it because it's now online. They probably see advertisements for dieting. They probably see posts about people dieting, posts about people eating, and posts about people's exercise routines and all this stuff. And even if it's positive, even watching like people around you doing their exercises and doing their diet, it still has an impact on you. It still makes you feel inadequate, especially if you are looking at yourself as, oh, I'm not doing enough, and these people are doing enough. And even if you aren't actively self-deprecating yourself, it still is going to have an impact on how you view yourself and your routine. It's still a sense of comparison to go online and look at how other people are living their lives. Because even if you aren't on social media like, oh, wow, look at that person. Oh, look at them. They're different than me. Oh, your brain's still going to do that, whether you are conscious of it or not. So I think that's what's so dangerous about social media, is it really makes it a pervasive part of the culture, a part of our lives in a way that's really hard to escape. I also wanted to touch on a couple things that you guys were saying. One of the biggest things that bothers me is the whole like dieting food industry. My number one biggest problem is that they make people think that those diet foods are going to help you on your diet, when a lot of those diet foods are just as bad as candy and granola bars and all the sweets that you can get at the store, because they might be low in calorie. As I think it was a teacher said this to me, if it's low in calories, they're making up for the flavor somewhere else. It's going to be sugar, it's going to be fat. If something's low sugar, they're making it up in fat and calories. So whenever you get food that has something taken out of it, you always have to keep in mind that they're adding other things in to compensate for the flavor. Because these foods, people do not understand how much money goes into the food industry, how much science and effort and thought and I said that, but basically how much they put into these foods. They make sure that like the crunch is exactly what your mouth wants. Like it has to make your mouth salivate in the right way. Like the flavor is exactly they make sure that the flavor is just subtle enough that it keeps you coming back for more, because the flavor isn't strong enough to make you like tired of that thing. Like for a lot of natural foods, if somebody was eating like carrot sticks or something like that, their body's going to eventually get tired of the taste of carrots and be like, all right, I'm good. Like the fiber in the carrots, the combination of the flavor, the brain's like, all right, cool, I've had enough, I'm good. But if you have something like a granola bar or like cereal or something like that, your body's not going to get those same signals. So as you're eating it, your body's only going to be thinking, oh, this tastes good, I'm going to keep eating more. I'm going to keep eating more. And because they've also manufactured it in a way that it doesn't trigger your hunger signals, and the sugar and some of the other materials inside also affect your hunger signals, you won't feel hungry. You won't ever feel full. And you will just keep eating and eating and eating until you run out of whatever you have, or until you consciously stop yourself. And if you are somebody that is mindless and do not pay attention to your habits, it's very easy to get carried away by what's the word? Overeating and like mindless eating. And then what was it? Oh yeah, and then also part of the reason why they offer these foods, I'm more than certain they know these foods don't work. They just want to keep encouraging people to diet because it makes companies more money when people are dieting and are unhealthy than they get if people are healthy and are eating the best foods, because it's hot button or hot topic, I guess, but it's not actually that expensive to eat. It's just most people's palates are not accustomed to eating basically just raw foods. Most people's palates are adjusted to eating highly flavored, highly manufactured, like meals, pre-prepped meals and stuff like that. But there's been a couple of food scientists that I really like that have done this, where they've gone to the grocery store and they've compared, like, this is if you eat the diet food versions of the things, and this is if you just buy like fruits, vegetables, and some like regular meats. And she showed like how she turned all of that into, I mean, granted, this was like 10 years ago, it was like 2015. But her whole meal was like 200, or her whole basket was like $200, and it had meat and vegetables and fruit and stuff. And it lasted her for 2 weeks, 3 meals a day. Just like on $200. And then she did the dietary foods and like the traditional American diet, and it was like $400 for a week of food. And that was like cereal and bread and peanut butter and like jelly and whatever. And when she showed that, like when she did the comparison and showed like vegetable, fruit, and whatever, she went through the typical American diet and was basically like, this is sugar, this is sugar, this is sugar. Like all these foods that we traditionally think of as healthy, like jelly, like peanut butter, like I always say granola bars. I don't know why I keep saying that, but like granola and yogurt, even a lot of these things that people think are healthy are not. If you look at the ingredients of a lot of these things, they're extremely bad for you. Like Yoplait yogurts, they can have up to 27 grams of sugar in just one little container. And that is a massive amount of sugar for just one container. Yeah. So I think a lot of people are so unaccustomed to just eating flavorless food. Like most people wouldn't reach for celery as a snack. Most people would reach for potato chips. Most people would reach for like chocolate ice cream or something like that. I mean, I'm guilty of that too. But we are a far cry from how we used to eat. Like if you look at how we ate in the 1850s, in the morning, they might have a slice of bread if they were lucky, or they would have some sort of porridge. And then in the afternoon, they'd have like a soup of vegetables, or they might have meat or something, chickens. And then by the end of the, like, basically they just eat meat and vegetables for their meals, and would have fruits as an occasional treat. And baked goods were not that common. You had to do it yourself, and it was not as processed as it is today. It was basically just like wheat and yeast and water, and that's it. No sugar, no nothing. But again, we've changed massively from that time period, and I don't even think most people would even know how to identify vegetables outside. Like if somebody was like, oh, go pick that carrot, they wouldn't have any idea what a carrot would even look like. People don't know where food comes from. I've been in agriculture before. I was in the FFA for 4 years, and you would not believe the number of people that I talked to that didn't know that milk came from cows. Like, it's so crazy what people don't actually know. And there was one girl in particular that I remember meeting. She didn't realize that meat came from animals. She just, I don't know where she thought meat came from, but we were talking about the pigs, and somebody commented like, "Ooh, it's going to be good bacon." She's like, "What do you mean?" And we're like, "Because bacon comes from a pig." And she was like, "Wait, all meat comes from animals?" And we're like, "Where have you been living? Like, what is happening right now? You're an alien." That's what this is.
Can a person who is over their BMI be considered healthy? Like you're of a bigger persuasion, but you eat vegetables and you eat fruits and et cetera, but you're just normal of your size.
So there's a general way to look at that. So if you look at it clinically, there are going to be markers. So if let's say your BMI is high, but everything that we're looking at for markers, as far as what's considered health, still is within the norm, then you could clinically say they're healthy, but in reality, it's temporary. If they continue on that vein, it won't happen. So you can have someone that is BMI is 30, so to speak, but you do all of their labs, and all of their labs are cholesterol. Bad cholesterol is low, good cholesterol is high, blood pressure is normal, kidney functions are normal, heart rate and blood pressure is within normal range. We don't see any other thing in their labs. Then clinically, we would say that they're healthy, but the recommendation would still be to get that BMI lower, because one of the things that doesn't show up when you're showing up as clinically healthy at that time is that carrying that fat, what we call visceral fat, around the organs is eventually going to raise those numbers, and it's eventually going to lead you to you're more at risk to have a heart attack, you're more at risk to develop cancers, you're more at risk to develop a stroke. But if you're 30%, so to speak, as being obese, and your labs look normal, that you can't maintain that. So it's in the moment, yes, you're healthy, but you can't maintain it. Eventually, that much visceral fat around your organs is going to take its toll.
It's almost the same idea with like cancer. You can have cancer at the beginning and it's not going to show symptoms right away, but eventually, if you allow it to continue progressing, it's going to cause more and more damage as it progresses through your body. And that's what happens, because as you hit your 40s, your hormones start to change, and so your body starts to respond to the fat that's accumulated in your body differently. It can't metabolize it as efficiently and as quickly, and so you end up that's why a lot of people don't start to have these problems show up until they're in their 40s or 50s, unless they're like extremely overweight. And like she said, the visceral fat is a problem, because one of the things that I remember reading about it is it can constrict your organs, and it can restrict blood flow and increase your risk of like clots or ischemia, which is where it like cuts off blood to your organs. And it also like the weight of it itself pulls down on your body, and it can cause physical damage to your body over time as well. Just like pulling on your organs and pulling on your skin and your muscles. It causes a lot of problems that are often overlooked in favor of paying attention to the more severe problems. Like there's a lot of minor things that can be caused by being unhealthy, such as like arthritis or joint pain, having issues with your digestive system, having issues with your neurological functioning. If you don't eat the right foods, it can start to make you have difficulty processing your emotions. It can have difficulty processing your thoughts. Like being unhealthy, being undernourished, or even overnourished can have impacts on every single part of your body. A lot of people always attribute it to like heart attacks and strokes, but it can do so much more. And it can also turn on and off certain genes that make you more likely to pick up certain illnesses or autoimmune issues as well. And it also can trigger cancers as well in the body. So even if you are healthy at the moment, it's still something you want to work on, because as we said, like that's not going to last. You're eventually going to get to an age where your body's not going to be able to handle the condition that your body is in.
Rob, you wanted to say something, or you wanted to add on to?
Oh yeah, I think it's genetic though. I know big people that's naturally big, that's healthy as all get out. They have good, prosperous, long lives. I think what they're saying is correct, but I think it's correct. I still think it's genetic though, because some people are naturally bigger than others. That's just the way they are born. You got the athletes, you look at these athletes, but even their lifestyle will often determine how long they live or how healthy they are. I think it's all in, like I said, your upbringing, how you were trained, and then
even personality.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, personality. The foods now are like drugs, like you said. You think about aspartame and aspartame, low sugars. You could put this much of a drop, and it'll say it don't have no sugar. It comes out undetected, but it's 20 grams of sugar in a Diet Coke. You could put Diet Coke on a motor and clean the motor. You could clean silver with Diet Coke or Coca-Cola, period. So a lot of times it's just, even I saw the TikTok about Chick-fil-A the other day, and they were saying how they put paint in there in the chicken. You know what I'm saying, to preserve it. So a lot of it is more aspartame. I don't think bad fat is good, period. You know what I mean? It's something that the body doesn't need. But I'm not going to sit here and say that bigger people are unhealthy. Some people, I know some big people that can run a 440. They could get busy. They could run laps around here. I know some old people that's, you know what I'm saying, in better shape almost than I am, and they in their 80s, 90s, and that was more lifestyle. I watched one news episode. The lady was like 98. And they said, well, what's your secret? She said, yo, I take a shot of whiskey every day. You know what I'm saying? So that's genetic. We can't, you know what I mean, argue with that. But I think your lifestyle is going to, after a while, if it's unhealthy, it's going to catch up with you. And then you have some people that genetic, like I said, the guy from Bahamas, he said, I'm in my 60s and it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I didn't eat all the lifestyles. I used to almost run the whole island, and he said I still got sick. So I think right now we at a point where you have to find a healthy balance to where you can still function fully, and then enjoy. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm thinking about, I got to switch. I have an addictive personality, and a lot of times I trade my calories. I will trade. I don't eat a whole lot of candy and all that, because I know that if I ate candy and did what I did, I would be at 280 right now, right? And I know that if I eat something like a cake, it's going to turn on a switch in my head. Like last night, I ate one little travel pack, honey roasted peanuts. The next thing, pack 2, bomb, 10 minutes, you know, drinking my brew, you know what I'm saying? And next thing I know, trail mix, bomb, by the hand, till it's time to go bed. Just disgusting, you know what I'm saying? And it's like I got this movie on, I'm vibing, I gotta work. I ain't really feeling that. You know what I'm saying? So that switch turned on, and I just couldn't stop until it was time to go to bed. Luckily, what I do, I stop before 9 o'clock. I don't know if that was better, but at the same time, it's like, all right, I'm gonna give my body a grace period so I can flush this stuff. But I already know, so I can only imagine, like I said, when people are stressed, if they're stressed, if they're unhappy, if they struggle. Again, that's another thing for us. Where if you struggle, if you didn't have food before, if you grew up without, if you went to sleep a lot of nights hungry, you're not finna be hungry no more. If for your kids, if you had to go to sleep hungry, you're gonna let your kids eat what they want. You know what I'm saying? So we have to, like you said, Carol, earlier, and like you said, Cindy, we have to find out what works for our specific body, and then we have to reprogram ourselves to do the things that it takes on a daily basis, no matter the pressures, and find our triggers on what drives us to do what we do and to break those bad habits. And it takes a team effort, you know, and I encourage people to do it naturally though. I don't believe in all of those drugs and all of that, because the weight loss this and on a yo-yo diet, start fast, don't eat till the sun go down, and you're killing yourself because you're supposed to eat. It's just how you go about it. So we all have to. I got an auntie, she weighs her food, and a lot of people look at her like she's crazy. Like she's like, oh, the steak got to be 6 ounces. I can only have 2 ounces of rice. I gotta have 3 ounces of vegetables. And she's in her 60s, bro. She looked like a baby. She looks like a baby. Like she admitted to her stomach flatter than mine. Her skin is beautiful. She still running around New York City like it's nothing. Up all day. She called me at 11 that night. I be asleep. She like, yo, what you doing? What you doing? You know what I'm saying? And people looking at her, oh, you gotta weigh your food and take your scale and all. Yo, she's doing better than I am. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, auntie, what's up? I ain't gonna weigh my food, but your steak was 6 ounces. All right, I'm gonna make mine 7. You know what I'm saying? Like I already know I ain't gonna go too hard with it, but I'm looking at her like, okay, you know what? I want to be that prosperous in terms of health when I get her age, so I'm gonna have to do some things.
So I think a valid point, or several of the points that you made that come back to it, is one of the things you said is you have an addictive personality. So do I. Totally get it. But there's data. So when you talk about not eating after 9, there's data there. So you know what happens if you eat beyond 9. Your aunt who measures her food, she knows, she's got data. So if something changes, because she's monitoring that, and that's part of the discipline. If you want a goal, if you want an achievable goal and you want a repeatable goal, you have to have consistent data. And so when she measures her food and she does all those things, people laugh, but look at the outcome. And so it's like, you cannot have that outcome if you are not consistent with the data. So for me, during the week, I generally cut my meals off between 5 and 6. That's my way of fasting, because I'm going to go to sleep later. So I'm going to go to sleep somewhere between 8 and 10. And so once I go to sleep, I'm going to be in a slow fast. When I wake up in the morning, I'm going to break that fast, as I should, but I also monitor how that is. If I have a track meet, then I'll go to 7, because I need that. I want my food to break down slower, so that in the morning, what I add to it can be combined. But there's data. So everybody has different metabolism, different ways that they can do something. For instance, you took your aunt's 6 ounces and said, I'm not my aunt's size. I'm a male. I'm bigger. I'm going to go 7. But you've got data to do that. So you know, it's with anything. If you want to be able to predict your outcome, you have to have consistent information, and you have to create that for yourself. So for some people, I'm a big journaler, but some people I talk about journaling. I know at my track meets, especially with the masters athletes, and you'll see this with U.S. athletes, especially the throwers, they have notebooks. And every time they throw at every meet, they're documenting everything. For me, I document certain things, but if you have something you can consistently look at and see your gains, or see where you may have fallen short, you can make a normal adjustment. So you don't have to do crazy yo-yo dieting. You don't have to use drugs or things like that. You let your body do what your body, you know your body. And this is what I tell people I advocate for. You know your body better than anybody on this planet because you've been living in it. So once you learn it and you learn what outcomes you want and what it's going to take for you to get those outcomes, you just have to be consistent. And you don't let people dictate what you do. Like you said, people say things about your aunt, but I'm sure people compliment your aunt all the time. And she knows what she's doing. That is her lifestyle, and she is happy with it. And so once you have your information and you have consistent data, the numbers don't lie. So it really comes down to that. Math will generally math. So
just to add to that, a lot of people will look at diets and be like, oh, these don't work and this one does work because it worked for me. But people have to keep in mind that not all diets work for all people. Every diet will work differently for different person. I know a lot of people that are extremely healthy as vegans or vegetarians, and they're extraordinarily fit and active and whatever. But I've also known people that tried to do the vegetarian or vegan diet and it did not help them. It actually caused damage, or it caused them to slow down or have issues because they needed a higher concentration of protein. Also, if you, I forgot what it is, but it can like raise the acidity in your blood, I think, if you eat too many vegetables and not enough like other like fats and stuff. And so I think that's another issue that we have in society right now is it's kind of like all or nothing. People have like this diet either works or it doesn't. And they don't really consider that it's kind of on a spectrum. It depends on the person. It depends on their condition. Like a diet might not even work the same for somebody in two different phases in their life. Like a teenager can't eat the same way that they're going to be eating when they're 45 or when they're 75. So we have to keep in mind that we have to be open to being flexible and open to shifting our routines and our habits in accordance to what our body is requesting, because our body will tell us what it needs. It will let us know if you're not giving it the right nutrients, if you're giving it too many nutrients, if you're not giving it enough rest, etc. It's just a lot of people are not in tune with their body, and so they don't recognize the signals, or they misidentify the signals. For example, one of the biggest ones that I've seen is a lot of people assume when they're late at night, oh, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. No, you're tired. Your body's just trying to pick up some extra energy. So if you go to sleep, you don't actually need to eat. Your body just thinks it does because it thinks you're trying to stay up. So that's just one example of people don't really recognize what their body is asking them to do, and will automatically just be like, oh, craving, I'll just give into that because that's what it's asking for, without trying to understand the underlying aspect of it. For another example, if you have cravings consistently of a certain kind, you can identify a nutrient deficiency in your body, because your body is going to make you want certain things that it doesn't have enough of in the body. So there's a lot of different signs that you can pick up on that can give you indications of whether or not whatever your regimen is, whether it's working for you or not. So yeah, I think people keeping a record is a really good idea. People should really put a lot of effort into understanding their bodies, especially people that are at risk of developing conditions, because higher body weight across the board increases your risk of most conditions. And so if you already have a family history of certain disorders, especially ones that can be passed down, it really would be important for any person to just keep track of little things like what they're eating, how much they're eating, what their weight is, even heart rate or blood pressure. A lot of these small little facts can be very useful, especially if you end up getting a condition and have to go to the doctor to be able to say, I'm having these issues, but here's my information. Like, here's what I've been going through. Here's what I'm eating. Because every little bit can help doctors identify what could be going wrong inside your body, just as much as it can help you identify what's going right and what you should keep doing.
And at the end of the day, you got to have somebody who cares just as much as you. Just like Carol said earlier, some of these folks just dismiss you and they just automatically want to assign something to you. You have to really be in a space in your life where you want to be the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. As long as you are here on this planet, then that's pretty much the bottom line when it comes down to it. I'm at a place where I don't allow social media to dictate what's deemed as entertaining or what's edifying. But I use discernment also. So I can extrapolate from something that I'm watching and determine if it's valid or valuable. And then either I'm just going to discard it completely or I'm going to invest in it a little bit more because I see the significance in it. If it's not of any worth, then I just keep it pushing and I go on about my day. And a lot of folks don't have that filter at all. So this is one of them conversations where you need to have them, because getting offended by this is kind of weird to me. If someone told me that I smoked too much or it was negatively affecting my appearance and my internal organs and things of that nature, I would hear this and think, well, they got a point.
It's rooted in shame. When people respond negatively to you pointing out something that they do, it's because deep down they are also upset that they do that thing. They're just not willing to confront it in them yet.
Yeah, that sums it up. Just to go around one more time before we close out, if you have something to say to a viewer or someone who comes across this and they might be on that side of the fence where it's like, this might be for me. I might have this issue, but I don't really want to hear what anybody else is saying, because I think they're just doing it just to be funny and they don't really care. They're just here to just say stuff. What would you say to them that would get them to thinking a little bit more about caring just a little bit more about their well-being?
I look at it, I had a dude change my life like 3 weeks ago, for real, a coworker, and he said that he helps people as much as he can in his community, and he often argues with his wife because a lot of times they'll have plans and he'll be cutting somebody else's grass or fixing somebody else's toilet, and he said it's in me because my dad taught me to do what I ought to do, not what I want to do. And he had to run that. I've had to run that by me like 3 times. Do what you ought to do, not what you want to do. And then also, I would let people know, if you want change, you got to do the things that you don't want to do. You got to do the uncomfortable things if you really want change. So get used to making yourself uncomfortable and pushing yourself just because. It's like working out. Nobody want to go hurt their body, but at the same time, if you know you got to get to that goal, then you got to go do what you got to do. And a lot of times you feel better when you finish. You're like, man, I really didn't want to do that, but I feel better. And then I would say balance, because you got a lot of health nuts and they be this and that, and a lot of times they be Google. They don't have positive relationships because they worried about their body, or they worried about their image in front of what other people think. You gotta have a balance to where you're happy with the results that you're getting from, because I'm gonna tell you like this: as long as you try, you okay. Can't nobody tell you nothing if you tried. If you know that you got up today and you did the best you could, pat yourself on the back, because it's long, tomorrow not promised, and everybody ain't here. So as long as you getting up and you're doing something and you're monitoring yourself, and you feel like you did better this week than you did last week, or if you had a bad week, don't get off from what you're doing. Okay, I had a bad week. What was the triggers that make me have that bad week? What may I do this week that I could control to have better than what I did last week, and the same for yesterday and the day. So don't look at yourself and say, "Oh, I didn't reach where I want to go," and quit. Keep pushing, because anytime you do something, it's better than nothing.
Mm-hmm. I would say that think about a goal that you've set for yourself, a goal that you've had that just won't go away. If there's something that you've wanted to do that just won't go away, then that's probably a calling. Look at, have you started it? And if not, I'm sorry, my watch just told me something. And if not, why haven't you started it? What was the reasons that you gave yourself? And are those reasons valid? And is this something you can start today? But always look at that thing that you keep getting drawn to. There's something that's already in us that we're placed on this earth to do. And no matter how many times you run from it, it's going to find you. And if that thing keeps coming up, then that's probably your purpose. There is something that's probably your passion. Have you done either of those things? If that is what you want and you haven't done it, why haven't you? And what can you do to achieve that? What are you willing to do to get there? So that's what I would say. Those things are always going to come up. Again, my favorite thing is to journal, because sometimes we can't think until we're writing something, and we're not talking to anyone. We're just having a conversation with ourselves. And sometimes that is where that keeps coming up. But if you have something that you love and you keep doing, that's your passion. If you've got something that no matter what, you just can't seem to escape it, it keeps coming back up for something you should do, that is your purpose. Marry those two things and get that done. That would be mine.
I think the first thing that I would say, I've had quite a number of friends with body image issues. I would start by having them focus on what they like about themselves, because I think the desire to lose weight can often be rooted in a feeling of inadequacy, a feeling that you aren't pretty enough, that you aren't good enough, that you aren't whatever. And so practicing appreciation, practicing gratitude, practicing self-love is a fantastic thing to include when making a health journey, or when going through the health journey, because it gets your mind in the right spot. You can't actually help yourself if you are also self-deprecating in your mind. You have to make sure that your mind is aligned with the goals of your body, because your body will know if your mind is not on the same page. And if you're constantly telling yourself that it won't work, or that there's no point, or it'll be painful and unenjoyable, and whatever you're telling yourself, that's going to subconsciously keep you from actually fully committing to your goals. So it's really important to get your mind right. And then, as we've all said, make sure that you talk to medical professionals. Get yourself established with somebody that's going to listen and pay attention to you, and start understanding your body, your symptoms, and how it's interacting with your habits and the things around you. So yeah, get your mind right, and then make sure that you have a partner to go along with you, preferably a medical professional, but friends and family members would also be very beneficial, especially to encourage you to do exercise, and doing that with people. And yeah, make sure that you have a team around you, and then fully commit. Make sure that if you are going to set your mind to it, create your vision. You should write out what you hope to gain from this lifestyle change, what you hope to see in yourself, the types of things that you look forward to being able to do if you accomplish these goals, because all types of positive thinking that gives you something to look forward to will only help you in the long run, because then you'll be able to, in the times where you're struggling with your self-control, having those like, oh, well, if I keep doing this, I'll be able to go hiking with my husband, or oh, if I do this, then I'll be able to start going to the beach more with my girlfriends or something. All of those things will serve a purpose in motivating you further when it gets difficult, because that is one thing that's inevitable, is when you're changing your lifestyle, when you're forming a new habit, and even when you're maintaining a habit that's good for you, it can be very challenging. It can be very easy to fall off the wagon, especially with how many temptations we have around us today: alcohol, drugs, friend, all that stuff. So yeah, get yourself straight, get yourself a group of people, and create goals for yourself, of how you're going to utilize these changes in the future.
Very, very, very articulate. Everybody, man. I'm honored to be a part of this conversation. I thank all of you for taking time out of your day to be here, for your words of wisdom. I do hope and pray from the bottom of my heart that this helps somebody, because people don't really talk about this that much. And I'm just glad that I was a part of it. I got you. I'm gonna let Sydney close us out. And shout out to Rob, shout out to Carol, shout out to everybody that's watching right now. If you got something from this, please share it with somebody that might need to hear it. Sydney, I'm gonna turn it over to you. I'm gonna let you close us out.
I thought this would be the perfect poem to end with, because it is similar to Carol's story. I'm going to grab my daughter really quick just so she's not screaming, but I'll be right back.
Hey, while she doing that, I'm going to tell you straight up. I was just jonesing for my phone. My phone been charging in the other room for like a half hour. For like an hour and a half, and I gotta pat myself on the back because I ain't go get it. I was always scratching my arms, ready. I need my phone, B. But I just went without it for an hour and a half, man. I'm geek.
Can you say hi? All right. So this poem is called Medical Record. I am your medical record. I should be the one who spreads and shares for your sake. I'm supposed to be there to support and report your histories, exposing your life's mysteries, yet tainted by the misunderstandings of dismissive closed ears, my papery skin of perception becomes the one who slights and leers. When instead, the ones who perform for you, under a mask of concern, do not hear. When the ones who tend do not listen, their writings in me do not pretend, do not mask discrimination, do not hide the faulty preconception that the ones who cure see you as nothing more than just another case of blindness in the bright glare of blatant unkindness. I stare at you in the face, watching your anxious running rivers unravel from your eyes, struggling against the wake of this potent flood of lies, tainting your image, twisting your truths. How I long to pry myself from this profile online, to redirect your pain, to quell your new disdain, to correct the wrongs smeared into my file. Yet the paper cuts I try to erase unjustly sit in place.
Well done. Well done. Beautiful poem. Beautiful poem. You guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a blessed one. If you have to leave out in the morning. Hey, you know you better than we know ourselves, most of us. But I like it did put me in perspective. Maybe I was about to go grab me a nutty bar and a can of soda. I'm guilty of that. I gotta always have me something before I lay down. But
I'm now going to be glaring at those 2 cakes that I took.
Save them. Someone will eat them.
Drink some water.
That's actually true. That's actually a good. People also, when Cindy was saying, sometimes when people are tired, sometimes they mistake hunger with water. It's like they're thirsty. They're actually dehydrated, and they don't realize it. And if you drink the water, it'll satiate, unless you let the brain take over and say that's not enough.
No, I'm gonna go grab me a bottle of water.
Well, you're probably not at the age where that's going to get you up in the middle of the night. I definitely can't drink a bottle of water before I go to sleep now. I'm up. If I do that, I'm getting up at 4. It's like, I can do it now. I just can't do it at 9.
Right.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna let y'all off here, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night. I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. We out. Peace.
We're out.
Thanks for joining.